right. I just want to do a quick test. Good morning, afternoon, whatever time of day it is, everyone. Please put a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me, number one, if you can hear me clearly. And I just want to welcome everyone to our live demo. We are in the Toronto showroom for Breville, and we're showing off some of our very cool espresso machines. Today we'll show you the Barista Touch, and I haven't turned anything on yet because there are things that I want to show you in a succession. So the Barista Touch today, the Barista Pro, and then we'll take it over to the Oracle Touch at the end. We'll end with the pièce de la résistance. So we're going to have some fun today. If you're watching from home and you have one of these machines at home, please do what I'm doing with me so that you feel like you're actually a part of this demo. That would be really fun.
So
Did
Carolyn,
we get any thumbs up?
I was just going to say, so we have Alex from TA on the line.
Hello,
with us. He's joined us, and I'm hoping maybe he can even give us a thumbs up. Let us know that he can hear us.
If you can hear me, Alex,
Yeah.
give me a thumbs up. And do we have anyone from the Toronto area in the chat? Anyone from outside of the Toronto area? Who is in the chat today? Say hello. Tell us where you're from and welcome. So today, like I said, we're going to be focusing on espresso, and our focus is on the Breville espresso machines. I am Carolyn. I work for the company as a senior brand ambassador, and one of my biggest things is training. So that's why I'm with you today. I'm really excited to be here. Amy is behind the camera.
Hi, everybody.
She can wave her hand at you. So she will be controlling everything behind the scenes. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop it into chat. Ask away. I will do my best to answer your questions, even if it's coffee related. I have been blessed to learn a lot of things about coffee, so I could go on and on and on about coffee, but I won't do that with you today. I really want to focus on the machines, about third wave coffee, and today we're using Propeller's coffee. You'll see that popped up on the screen as something that you can purchase. Propeller is one of our roasters in Toronto, and they have fresh roasted coffee. So Amy, if you want to just come in close over here. We are using Turbo Espresso, and these beans, as you can see, they're very matte in finish. So they're not slick with oils on the outside of the bean, because coffee beans contain a lot of oils inside the bean. And when you grind them or use a blender, you could, if you wanted to cut them up, the oils are released. And that's why we say you always want to grind fresh. Whenever you're doing espresso especially, you want to grind fresh before you start doing any kind of extraction. So light colored bean, matte finish, and the other thing you're looking for is an expiry date. A roasted date on the bag, as opposed to an expiry date, because expiry dates indicate that the coffee beans have had something added to them to lengthen their shelf life. And that's actually not following the third wave. You'll hear that, I'll say that a lot, third wave coffee. So essentially third wave coffee is this new wave of coffee drinking that we are in, where you go to a cafe and you get a cafe quality beverage. And what that means is you have something that has been made with a proper espresso machine that has 4 key elements or recipe for a perfect cafe quality beverage, which is the dose of coffee, the pressure that you extract the coffee, the actual temperature that you are brewing during the extraction process, and then the pressure and temperature of the steam. So on all of our machines, whether it's our entry level, which you do carry at TA Appliance, and by the way, we have 5 locations in the surrounding and greater Toronto area. And this is our entry level. He's called the Bambino. And I love that name because he really is the baby of espresso machines for the Breville lineup. And you'll notice that there's a grinder to the side, because if you're going to have a machine like the Bambino or the Bambino Plus, you will need to have a grinder or grind your coffee fresh, is my suggestion. Sorry, I just patted the mic, so hopefully that didn't bust all of your ears. But yes, with one of these machines, it's not an all-in-one machine. it needs to have a grinder on the side, whereas the Barista Express, which is this guy here, loaded with all of my accessories, this is our entry-level machine with a grinder. And this literally is like a coffee station on your counter. And then as we go up in price, so the Barista Pro, and we are in map window right now, which means we are on promo. So I don't know the specific price, but I believe it's on your screen. So if you want to click on it, you can do that at any time. And then we have the Barista Touch, which is our touchscreen Barista series, the top of the line in the Barista series. Now notice, I just pushed the power button and I'm ready to go. Like as soon as I touch latte, because that's my drink of choice, the machine is ready to go, which is so cool. So with the Barista Pro and Barista Touch, and even the Bambino series, these are all thermojet pumps. So they are ready to go within 3 seconds of turning on the machine. And if you are going to extract your coffee and then froth your milk, it's a 3-second wait time between one and the other. So let's start with the best part, which is grinding the coffee fresh. Now I put the beans in the hopper and I purposely didn't do any dialing in, they call it in the cafe world, or calibrating is another word you could use. I did that on purpose because I want to show you how we do this. So if you look at the side here, you've got a fine section, which actually tells you slower extraction, and you have a coarse direction, which is a faster extraction. So Amy's going to come and show you the screen. And when I turn it towards finer, you can see it'll say slower pour, coarser is faster pour. So we usually start somewhere in the middle when we are grinding, because you want to find that sweet spot when you're grinding coffee. It can be too coarse and it can be too fine. And there's specific things that we look for when it's on one side or the other. So I'm hoping I can give you an example just by going, I'm gonna go too coarse and see what happens. So I'm at a 19 right now, and there are 30 grind settings on the Barista Pro, this guy, and the Barista Touch. So I'll just bump it to activate the grinder. And I have a lovely tamping mat that if anyone got one of their machines during the Christmas season, you got this as a part of a gift with purchase, which was really nice for people.
I liked how quiet that grinder was,
yes,
Carolyn.
It is really quiet. So it's not going to wake everybody up in the house when you're trying to make your coffee and you're the first one up, which is nice. Now notice I'm just moving things around, and the reason I do that is because channels will form when the coffee grinds, and you'll sometimes get little clumps, and that's just static having the coffee stick together. You can even karate chop the sides to get them to come into the channels, but I like to literally just guide the coffee into the channels. And you'll sometimes see baristas pinching it into the middle. I'll even tap it down sometimes. I'm not a barista, my friends, but I like to pretend that I am.
And I love that it's absolutely flat.
Yes.
So this allows the portafilter to sit flat just before you tamp it.
But what I could do if I wanted to, this tamping mat has this piece that comes over the edge of the counter. So I could bump it up against and give it a good hard push. Tamping is just compacting the coffee so we get that nice flat surface. Now, when I put the portafilter, the tamper down, Amy, I want you to show them how it's angled a little wonky. So let's get it from that angle.
Perfect.
So it's up higher on this side. So what I'm actually going to do is just push and tilt, because I want it to be nice and flat. And the reason I want it to be flat is because I want the water to hit the top layer of coffee at the same rate.
And I just pulled the camera out a bit when Carolyn was tamping, so you could see that she had her elbow up in the air and was just pressing down.
Yes.
And that force is what you need in order to have a clean tamp.
Exactly. We're told 30 pounds of pressure, but I can tell you that 30 pounds of pressure is hard to mimic. So basically, I had a barista tell me once, the coffee's only going to let you push as far as you can push it. So just give it a good hard push, and don't be afraid to hurt the coffee. You won't, I promise. So now we'll hit the brew button, and it's set up for double with a latte. And we'll see what
Just zoom in
happens.
so you can see the double
I'm
shot.
anticipating that this is going to come out very fast because it's on a coarser setting. And right now it's in pre-infusion. It should have not started to come out before 10 seconds, and it did. Now it will be very spurty, which I'm seeing, and that is what I expected. You can see how it's not a consistent warm honey type of flow. And what we'll get is, we'll still get a crema on top, but it won't be as caramelly in color. It's going to be very blonde. Now this is not bad. This is okay. Let's put this up here Amy, so they can see. But you notice that we have a very thin layer of crema on top and a very thick, dark brown espresso extraction. So what I'm doing, this is called an under extraction. When you have the grind too coarse and water is able to mix too easily and flow out too fast, that's an under extraction. I want it to be in the middle. I don't want it to be an over extraction. Over extraction means it's too fine. And like you see how I have this little clump that's stuck? If this had been the correct grind size, the puck would have popped out nice and cleanly and I wouldn't have had to do much cleanup. So now I'm just gonna rinse. I'm going to go a little bit finer. I set it to 19, but I'm gonna go down to, I actually might only go to like a 16 and see what happens. And I'm actually going to grind. We're gonna brew after we grind. I'm going to grind a little bit more into my basket because I noticed that it was a little bit too far down in the portafilter. So it's easy to do that with the Barista Touch. You touch, I'll just go back. We'll just wait until it goes back to the other screen. So here where it shows the 2 shots, when I touch on that, I could switch it to a 1-shot basket, which I'll show you what that looks like in a moment, or go back to the 2-shot basket, which is what I'm using. So you can see that it's a straight, flat down edge. And I will increase to, I'm gonna say 16 seconds. Because I want to see a nice mountain of coffee. And I know it might look like it's too much, but it's only because when it grinds, it's very fluffy. And that's why you saw that when I was moving things around and then tapping it down onto the counter, it was leveling off all on its own. So remember I talked about the clumps? So these clumps, I could break them up just by karate chopping, or you can do like I showed you and just move it around. You're drinking your own coffee, so you don't have to worry about your hands touching. And you just fill in all these little channels with coffee. I can tap it down again. Then with my tamper, I make sure that everything is almost level before I give it a good hard push. And you can show them, Amy, how that's nice and flat. So this is what I'm looking for. Okay? This is another thing I want to show you. Not everybody knows this, but on our Breville tampers, we have this silver portion that is a really good indicator of whether you have the correct dose of coffee. I may even have too little again because I'd really actually like to see it up a little bit more. So when this is completely disappeared, you usually know that that's the correct dosage. Another thing that I could use that comes with the Barista series and the Bambino series machines is the razor. So if I had dosed too much coffee into the basket and I tamped it and I needed to cut off that excess, this would literally twist and create coffee on either side. And I can mimic that in one of my next shots that I'm going to pull. So we'll just lock that in. Dump that out. I made a mess, but that's okay because I cleaned it up. We hit the double shot again. Now with the Barista Touch, you have a lot of options with this machine. You have the built-in recipes for the main cafe quality beverages. Okay, so remember I was talking about when you go too fine. So when it's too fine, you create basically like a brick wall, and the water can't mix evenly and easily with the coffee. So you get these little tiny spurts or drips, and the machine is struggling, and even after 30 seconds, this is what I get. You do not want to drink that. That will be so bitter. That'll punch you in the face coffee. We don't want punch you in the face coffee. So we started at 19, then I went to 16. Somebody in the chat, give me a number that you want to see me try.
And this can happen when you use fresh beans or you switch beans from maybe something that you've had in the house for a week or two, and you buy brand new beans.
Yes,
correct?
Exactly.
You may have to adjust.
You will
the
have
grind.
to adjust for sure. So fresh beans are ideal to use within 7 to 10 days of the roasted date. Now, if you don't consume all of them in that time, we recommend an airtight container, which I have over here. I'm just going to step away for a moment. So this is an airscape container that has a one-way valve portion so that any excess beans can stay airtight in here, protected from moisture, protected from light, protected from air, and that just stays nice and tight in this canister, okay? And that is a way to store the beans to lengthen the life of your fresh roasted beans if you're not using them all right away.
Oh, it smells so good.
I know.
Those fresh
as
beans.
soon as you open that up, it smells like breakfast. So did someone give me a number to try? We started at 19, then I went to 16. Anybody say a number?
Nobody's given us a number, but I
right.
think we should go with 17.
17?
Yeah.
I think so too. We could even try 18 because honestly, sometimes it's only one number. So I'm actually going to go with 18.
Okay.
Now I may have to add a little bit more because I didn't change the seconds of grind time. And I could get really technical with this if I wanted to, but I wanted to show you how you don't have to get technical. Like if Propeller was doing this demonstration, they would give you a lot more coffee knowledge. I'm more about the Breville espresso machines and how easy they are to use. We don't want you to feel like you have to be a barista to use our machines. Absolutely not. We want you to feel like these are machines that are easy to use, that are not intimidating, that make you feel good, that make you good coffee, because that's all that matters. So I think this is going to be the correct number. I just have a feeling. Oh, there you go. I'm like, where's my tamper? So we'll just move that over a little bit, get it nice and level. Good hard push. And it's nice and straight. I polish it off sometimes where I just twist. Makes it nice and flat and lovely. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now I'm doing this, but I can't wait to show you the Oracle Touch because that machine does it all for you. So all of this work that you do gets eliminated with that machine. So I'm excited to show you that one. Now again, I can see that the top of the razor is literally, it's hard to show it, Amy, but you can see how the top of the razor is literally right at the top. It's just kind of moving the little powders on the side, which is fine because I'm just gonna pop that back up. This is like the perfect dose.
This one's going to be for me, so I think a new glass this time, Carolyn. Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
It'll be a double shot. We'll get the water, the milk ready.
Alex, tell us what your favorite type of coffee is. So right now we're doing the latte. What would you be making on the Barista Touch?
Still dripping. But this is okay. This is what happens when you're dialing in at first. I actually am glad to show you this because a lot of people will get frustrated when they are first using a fresh coffee bean. It can be, I remember when I was first doing this, first learning, I think I went through an entire bag of coffee because I had no idea like how to do this. And then as I continued practicing and getting more and more comfortable, and you know what's ironic? I'm at an 18. We started at 19 and it came out really fast. So it could have actually just been the dose was off and not the grind size.
Yeah.
So there are some variables that you have to consider. And I wanted to show you that because I want to show you that there are some tips and tricks to follow. And the other cool thing about this machine, Amy, let's just go into the home menu, because I want to just quickly show them what I was talking about with the drink recipes. So you have these built-in ones, okay? Then you have some personal ones that you can create either by starting from fresh, or if I go into any of these preset ones and change any of the settings, you get this little plus symbol and you can not overwrite, but you can save this as a whole new custom setting. You pick your icon. No, it does not make that design, but that would be really cool. You name it, you hit the check mark, and then it saves it just like we had here where Karina has one, I have one. But I wanted to show you in the actual settings menu, you have some options which include changing the language and units, doing a clean or descale cycle, or the cleaning the steam wand cycle. You can change the brew temperature, the set brew temperature, default I should say, the milk temperature. The water hardness is something that you can measure. You get a little strip when you first get this machine. You can change the brightness and the volume, but you can also go into demo mode and you can just do a demonstration to show some things. And it gives you a little tips about things. Tells you about how to select your drink. So I just wanted to show you how you could do that. The other thing that you could do, I just hit the little eye symbol here. So from the home menu, instead of hitting the settings, you can hit the eye and go through each one of these step-by-step guides, which is really helpful. So I wanted to point to that. So a step-by-step coffee tutorial, you could do a grinder guide, how to extract properly, and this will walk you through and actually have you do the things. So let's go back to latte. And do we have any questions? Because I've been saying a lot of things, but
we don't have any questions in the chat.
All right.
Now, are you going to change the grind size, or do you think you'll change the amount?
I changed the grind size.
Yep.
And I will likely, because originally when I did it on 19, it was at 14 seconds. Now it's at 16, and I like that amount. But I may even go up 1 more second. Actually, I'm going to go up 2 more seconds because I want to show you what happens when I've ground a lot of extra coffee in the basket and I cut off the excess with the razor. Because the razor is really, yes, you're going to be wasting a little bit of coffee, maybe a gram of coffee at a time. But it ensures that you always get that perfect dosage without having to have a coffee scale, because not everybody has that in their home. Again, I don't expect you to be a barista. Remember? I said that at the beginning. So very fluffy. I actually can feel, like you can see when I move the coffee on my finger, it kind of stays in place. I can also feel the individual grains of coffee grinds, but it's not too coarse or too fine. So I have a feeling 19 was the magic number, which I thought was going to be the number that had it flow like Niagara Falls. But that's not what happened. Sometimes I just get it right from the start, and I should just stick with what I did. All right, so this is going to be a lot of extra coffee, and you're going to see how the tamper is just going to sit above too much. So you can still see some of this silver, okay? We want the silver to be disappeared completely. So now I get to show you how the razor works. See all that excess? And you just twist, twist, twist. And then a flick of the wrist. We'll do that again. Oh my gosh, I made such a mess on my tamping mat. My goodness. But this is what I'm talking about, my friends. So now I have perfect. This is gonna be it. Amy, this is gonna be it. We're gonna do it right this time. We're making a big mess, but it's okay. As long as you keep wiping things, you gotta keep a nice, clean workstation. A barista told me once, you're only a good barista by how clean you keep things.
I love that
Messy
advice.
baristas You might be great at latte art and doing all the things, but if you're a messy barista, you're not a good barista.
So you can see we're almost at 10 seconds and it's just starting to pour. So that pre-infusion was great.
It's still a very light flow, so I would maybe even bump it up to a 20, to be honest with you. But I'm happier with this one. I actually really like how it's flowing out now. This is good. This is good. This is what I wanted to see. Much better.
Yeah, a lot of times we talk about almost like a warm honey pour. Is that right?
Yes. So if you look now, I don't know if you remembered the first one, but it was a very blonde.
Yeah, it's definitely richer.
On top. Now, the thing I want to see is that when I swirl it up, that it comes back together. And those oily particles in the crema, they sit nicely on top of that coffee.
So beautiful.
Very beautiful. And if you look, again, we still have more of the brown than we do of the light brown, which is the crema, okay? But that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. You don't want too much crema because, believe it or not, the crema is where the bitterness of coffee is coming from. It actually contains all of those like tangy, tarty, fruity notes of the coffee. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but coffee is actually a pit of a fruit, a berry. So now come in, Amy. We're going to hit the milk button on the touch screen. And what this does is it's infusing the milk with a dry steam that's instantaneous, because remember, this is a fast process. And if I move this jug out of the way, Amy, just show them the tray. This is where the sensor is on the tray to measure the temperature of the jug. And if we come back to the screen, it warns you that you have to place the jug on the sensor. Otherwise, it's not going to stop because it can't measure the temperature of the jug. The other cool thing I like about this is the sensor is in the perfect spot in the tray so that the steam wand is just off center at that 45-degree angle, so that you get a vortex moving inside of the jug. And the vortex is what I'm looking for because that's what helps to create the microfoam for latte art.
Now I just want to show you right now it's set at 150 degrees. That'll be the temperature of the milk, and a 5 for the level of the frothing.
Exactly.
So we're now hitting 150 degrees.
Now I'm just going to wipe my steam wand.
So there is a ring on the top of the steam wand that you would use to pull that up.
This is the assist ring.
The assist ring.
And on all of our automatic milk frothing machines, they auto purge the tip of the steam wand so that it cleans out any excess milk. Now, I want to show you this because right now you're going to notice in the jug that it's very matte colored, right? And I also have some big bubbles. So Amy, if you can pop up, and we're just going to bang out the big bubbles. And now I'm going to swirl the milk to texture it. And as I'm swirling it, Amy, do your best if you can to capture how we begin to get that sheen inside the jug, which is what I'm looking for when I'm making latte art.
And you want to see it thicken up on the sides like a wet paint.
Exactly.
So you can see
it's shiny
smoother.
like a wet paint inside the jug. All right. Yeah. Now this is where it gets tricky. And I am
so you want to break up the crema a bit, and then you're going to pour it, and then you're going to plunge the milk in. Oh, it's so pretty. Sorry, I realize I am sideways because I was really
Amy's too excited.
Concentrating on the latte art.
She might
That's so
be
beautiful.
excited about getting her latte.
Yeah, that looks really great. And then you can see the layers. Yeah, looks great.
So this is what we're talking about when we say cafe quality. This is a properly blended drink, not a layered drink where it's dispensed in different layers of like dark coffee at the bottom, kind of brownish in the middle, and then a very thick, soapy, like textured foam on top. This microfoam is so smooth and luxurious, and this is what gives you cafe quality at home. And Breville's machines all do that. So we're going to demonstrate that on the Barista Pro now while Amy enjoys her coffee.
Excellent.
Any questions about the Barista Touch before I move on? Don't be afraid. I don't bite. I promise.
So the Barista Touch is available in 4 different colors. This is the black truffle. Then we have the black stainless, the damson blue, and just regular brushed stainless steel.
Yes. And the brushed stainless, honestly, is one of people's favorite colors because it really is a beautiful accent in any kitchen. But I have to say, I have both black truffle and damson blue products in my kitchen, and I love it. And I could even throw in a white, which is the sea salt color, because that matches beautifully with those two
Just
colors
lovely.
as well.
And so what we have here is the Barista Pro in the sea salt.
Yes, so you can see how beautiful this looks.
And this has a screen, the digital screen. And what are we looking at on here, Carolyn?
So with this machine, it has an LCD screen. It's not an interactive touch screen, but it's an interactive display for you to see what you're doing during any part of the process. So on this side of the machine, it's all about the grinding. That's why you have this grind amount knob. And also if I push in the knob, it switches to the single shot filter basket. And I just want to show you what a single shot compared to a double shot looks like. So on the single shot, you can see that less grams of coffee will fit in this basket and double the amount will fit in the double shot basket. And even if you look inside, the base is a little bit smaller in diameter than it is on the double shot. My preference is to use double shot even when I'm brewing a single shot for myself. I'll sometimes dump a shot. Shh, don't tell anybody because that means I'm wasting coffee. But I've been training myself to drink 2 shots, which is not good because then I become coffee addict. So anyway, the other thing I wanted to show you that I love about Breville is that you get all of the things that you need to use your machine for any type of coffee that you might be using. So with a dual wall filter basket, these are designed, and there's one for a double shot and a single shot, okay? And it actually shows you the little 1 cup, 2 cup on the bottom of it. But this is used for coffee that is pre-ground. So let's say you have somebody who wants to drink decaf, so you buy a bag of decaf pre-ground coffee. You can put it into this basket instead of the single wall basket. And single wall just means that there's only 1 layer of metal, whereas in the dual wall, there's 2 layers. So there's a perforation layer, which this is what the single shot basket will look like all on its own. But with the dual wall, the actual coffee only comes out of 1 teeny tiny little hole on the bottom of this basket. So it adds that extra pressurized shot. So no matter what, it compensates for how you can't control the grind size of pre-ground coffee. And it always gives you a beautiful crema no matter what. So this is like a cheat, okay? But you don't need that if you're using fresh roasted coffee like we are here. So back to grinding. We'll push this in. Now it's set to 12 seconds, but I'm not convinced that that's correct. It's also set to grind size 17, which we calibrated a couple of days ago. So we'll see if that is correct. Bump it in just like the Barista Touch. I'm going to get my milk ready ahead of time. All right. So, I have a feeling this might be it. This might be the correct amount. And if it isn't, I will know.
And although you dialed it in a few days ago, it may not be the right size now because now the beans have dried out a little bit.
Yes, so that happens if you fill up your hopper with beans, which I don't always do at home. Most of the time I leave them in my airscape container. But if you do fill up your hopper, just be mindful that you may have to adjust the grind size more periodically than you would if you didn't fill up the hopper. So same idea as with the Barista Touch. Give it a good hard push.
So we can see it go below a bit.
Yep.
From the top.
And it's probably not level. But we'll see. We'll see. Sometimes
Looks nice.
Sometimes it ends up working out to your benefit. Now these machines don't have a pressure gauge on them, but I did want to say that all of our Breville espresso machines are 15 bars of pressure. They're 15 bar pumps. At the extraction point though, it's a 9 bar pressure for extraction. So 15 bars to get the whole machine to do its thing. but 9 bars specifically designated at the extraction point, so you get that cafe quality pressurized shot that you don't get with every type of espresso machine. And you're gonna have some espresso machines that claim to have 19 bars or more, but you know what? When it comes to good cafe quality espresso, 9 bars of pressure is really all you need at the extraction point. Now this is not bad. This is good. Actually a little too fast for my liking. And Amy, if you pop up here quickly, we're at 23 seconds on that shot, which is a little bit less than what I'd like it to be. So I could either adjust the grind size, which I probably won't do. I may go up 1 more gram of coffee because Amy pointed to the fact that it may be a little bit too less in the basket. But still, look at how beautiful this is.
Beautiful crumble.
This is not bad. This is not going to taste bad. It's just going to be a different flavor profile. And still, when I swirl this up, and just like with wine, my friends, if you swirl the coffee and then you smell it, and then you swirl it again and you smell it, you'll get the different notes that a coffee contains. So this is likely an under extraction again, because we didn't have enough coffee in the basket. And this is all a part of dialing in, remember. So I'm going to do an extra second of grinding. Another indicate. Oh, look at that. It's so messy. You don't want it to be wet like that. So that is an indication, again, that either the grind size is too coarse or that we haven't put enough coffee in the basket. So I'm guessing for the extra second that will make the difference. Does anyone else want to take a guess and see? No?
I think you're right. And I think what's great about the Breville is that you have that option to switch it by the second. You know, you have additional grind sizes.
Exactly.
So it allows you to really be precise when you grind in.
Exactly. So we're going to see if that extra second of grinding makes a difference. If it doesn't, then we may have to go a little bit finer in the grind size. And just going down 1 is likely enough. But see how much more coffee I ended up with? And see these channels? Let's come over here. Do this for you to see. This is why I do this. Does this make sense to everybody? Because if I didn't fill in that channel, water's going to go there first. And the extraction is not going to be the same as it would be had I actually filled in all of the gaps. So let's just clean. And you notice how I'm making sure everything's clean all around as well? Anybody in the chat have an idea why I'm doing that? Why would I be making sure the whole lip of the basket is clean of coffee? I ask this when I'm doing my trainings. And not everybody knows, but some people get the whole hint of why I would do that. You've got 10 more seconds to type. Unless you're typing with one finger. Because some people are watching from their phones.
You can just see that's where the tamper goes, right up there in the top of the machine.
I love that about our machines. So we'll lock that in. We will clean off our station because it can get too messy. And remember, a good barista keeps everything tidy. And I need another cup. So I didn't get an answer, or did I? No? Okay. The reason I did that is because any of that coffee, when it locks up into the shower head, it will actually start to make the rubber gasket that's in there to have that seal be maintained. It will start to wear out that rubber gasket. It will also interrupt the seal, and you could end up having like not the proper pressure coming through, water flowing outside of the basket, and it could be very messy over time. You want to keep things as clean as possible. And what I love about Breville is what you see is what you clean. It's all in your face with cleanup. So when people ask me, well, what's involved in the cleanup? What do I actually have to do? My answer is, well, if you see it, you clean it. That's much better. So it looks like adding that extra second of grinding is what made the difference. And you can't see the screen right now. I can. And we're at 27 seconds, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, so it's on the higher side of things. So I could have even cut off a little bit of coffee, I think, but changing the grind size is not what I needed to do. So this, oh yeah, look at that. So lovely. You see a little bit of tiger striping inside the cup too. That's another good indicator of a well
It's a beautiful caramel color.
shot. Let's come up here so we can show them. It's usually a 2-to-1 ratio of dark to toffee color on top. And again, this was the other shot we had done. The crema is still sitting on top of there, but it's dissipated a lot more than I would want it to. But that's okay. It still would have tasted good, I promise you. At 23 seconds, it would not taste bad.
Now, what's the difference between this steam one, because it looks quite a bit different than the one, I'm just going to move over to the Barista Touch.
Yeah, so you'll notice right away, this only goes up and down. And this is an automatic steam wand.
Okay.
So this is done for you. On the Barista Pro, we have manual steam. And it's a Panarello steam wand, so you have a lot of control with where you move it around. I'm going to show you one of my tricks that I do. And I'm also using, and TA Appliance sells this, this is the temp control jug. This jug is so helpful when you have a manual machine because it actually will show you the temperature of the milk outside of the jug. Because on this machine, it's not measuring the temperature of the milk like the Barista Touch did. The Barista Pro is all manual.
You can see that we don't have the same mechanism in the tray
Right.
that we did over here.
So no sensor like the Barista Touch had. There's nothing here. Now on the side, you'll see there's the steam dial and then there's the hot water function. If I wanted to get instant hot water, I'll just show you by turning the dial that way. It instantly comes out of the back. There's this nozzle here.
You can see it going into the tray.
And you would use that if you were making an Americano, for example, or a long espresso. Let's say you wanted to make instant hot chocolate. You could do that. Or tea. You could do that. So again, this is a all-in-one drink station, not just espresso. You could do a lot of different options with this, which is nice. Now, when I turn it toward me and it goes to steam, you're going to see a little bit of water come out of the tip. And that's normal. Oh, and this, I'm so glad it's doing this right now, because what happens sometimes is the steam wand gets clogged. And if no water comes out, that's an indicator. Let's just have a look. Yeah, I can see that the holes are clogged. You won't be able to see, my friends, but I'm just gonna wipe. I love that I get to show you all these things because guess what? You get all these accessories with the machine and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Oh, excuse you. A little bit of water was coming out. It decided to unclog at me. So when I pop this needle, oh,
there you go.
We were clogged. It'll get you in the face if you're not careful. So there are 4 little holes that the steam comes out of. And this needle is designed to unclog the holes. Because that happens sometimes. There is sugar content in there. So now when I turn it to steam.
And that's why it's important to have that auto purge.
Yes, that's what I love about the Barista Touch. It does all of that for you. So now I'll just go back into standby to be safe.
So you guys could see the water came out, a bit of water, then the steam. So now you just want the steam to immediately go into the jug.
And again, it's ready to go within 3 seconds. Now you hear that, I want to make it sound bad. You hear that strangled, squealy, it's horrible. You want a nice, quiet whisper, like tearing paper. Okay, and what we're doing in the beginning is we're just stretching the milk. And stretching means making it bigger in volume. Okay?
So you have the steam wand almost in that part of the jug, the tip.
I like to have it sit in the pouring spout. And then I'd like to just come over here. This is my little tip that I do. I move it off to the center, off center. It's creating a vortex inside. And come here quickly, Amy, to show them the temperature control. I'm going to shut it off. This milk is on the hotter side, which is okay.
So we're at about
I've
150.
stopped it at 150, but
Perfect.
this is what I love about the temp control jug, because it tells me the temperature of the milk without me having to guess.
Now, if you just had a jug without that, you would learn how to do it by
Yes.
feel, by
So
touch.
basically, you hold your hand on the bottom of the jug during the frothing process, and as soon as you can't hold your hand there for 3 seconds, like ouch, that's hot, that's when you stop it. Okay? Now, just like with the Barista Touch, notice how it's very bubbly, very matte, the milk. So we tap out the bubbles. Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
And you can put your hand, whoops.
You can.
Hold on.
You can cover.
Sorry.
Oh. Amy decided
Error.
to turn off. She decided to turn off the stabilizer.
Yeah.
It's okay. Technical difficulties in the Breville
It's
showroom.
funny. I was thinking I wanted to concentrate.
She just keeps doing it. It's okay.
I wanted to
Amy.
concentrate on
You're
what you were
okay.
doing with
You're
the
all
steam
good.
wand.
There we go.
Because you did wipe it off first.
Yes.
And then you're also going to do a purge with the steam wand.
Yes, I will.
And then at the same time, you also need to concentrate on what you're doing with the milk.
The milk. Oh. Wow,
Which
that
is
would've
why
been
you
fun.
may want to put your hand
But
over
that's
top.
why Amy was saying put your hand over top. But hey, I've done that, and then I get hot milk on my hand.
Oh.
I'd rather
Yeah.
the counter get it than me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I do that.
Got it.
Remember, we'll make a mess, but we'll clean it up.
Right.
It'll
Absolutely.
all be okay. So now we're just gonna mix again,
Oh, that looks good.
and this is not gonna be anything. So I'm just gonna go whoop. But it's okay, because I've had baristas tell me, as long as there's some brown on the outside, a little bit of white on the middle, you're good. Like, it doesn't have to be super fancy, right? And this is still going to taste good when I drink it. We can cheers.
Cheers.
Yours will still be hot because it's a dual wall cup.
That's
Yum.
great, Carolyn.
So
Good Propeller coffee.
Yes.
Thank you to Propeller.
Delicious. Thank you so much, Propeller, for the coffee. You can get Propeller coffee through the TA website. So if you have any questions or concerns about that, you can direct that to Alex in the chat. But I believe we've got Propeller's coffee up on the screen. I can't see, so Amy's going to give me a yes or a no. If it's not there, it's okay. It's something you can find on TA's website. So that's all good.
Absolutely,
Any
along with the
questions?
machine. So the Barista Pro comes in a wide variety of colors. As we mentioned, this is the sea salt.
Yes.
And then the first machine we looked at was the Barista Touch.
And that's in black truffle.
And then we also focused on the Barista Express, which is similar to the Barista Pro without, one of the key things is it does not have the LCD screen.
Yes, exactly. And then we have the Bambino
And then we have the
machines.
Bambino Plus, which is available in a wide variety of colors. And then the Bambino. And with both of those espresso machines, you can look at getting a grinder, which this is one of 3 different models that we carry.
Yes, the top of the line grinder that TA Appliance carries, I actually really love that one more than the rest because it comes in different colors and it has more options in terms of functionality. It's more digital, which is nice.
And that's the Smart Grinder Pro.
Yes, Smart Grinder Pro. I just wanted to come back to the Barista Pro for a moment before we finish off with the Oracle Touch. The Oracle Touch doesn't, it teaches you all on its own. There's not much that I have to do in terms of teaching with that one. But I wanted to show you how you have some menu options, just like you did with the Barista Touch, but a little bit different on the Pro. So there is a menu button, and with this, you can change the shot volume for the 1 or 2 shot to be custom to your liking. You can also change the shot temperature as well, which is nice. And you can go back to reset the defaults. There's a descale cycle on this one as well as the shower head flush with this machine, which is fantastic.
And how important is it to descale and flush your machine? And how do you know when to do that?
Say that again, Amy.
So how important is it to descale your machine and to flush your machine? And how do you know when you need to do that?
Fantastic question. So on the Barista Pro and the Barista Touch, it actually the Barista Express as well, it indicates to you when you need to do those cleaning or descaling cycles. And you really just want to follow what the machine tells you, because it's designed to notice when the shots are not coming through as clearly, as well as if you had done the flush. Now, you get these accessories. You get a starter with 2 tablets of the espresso cleaner, which is for the shower head flush. You also, I believe, get a steam wand cleaner packet. Sometimes you're lucky and you get a descaler packet, which is lovely. But in case you don't, TA Appliance sells all of these accessories, so you can get that through them. There's even water filter replacements. These are the charcoal water filters. There's also something called the Claro Swiss water filter, which I don't have right now. But that one is a little bit more intense. Like it looks like a Brita water filter. It has more layers of filtration and it adds more minerals to the water. So I wanted to make sure I pointed to the accessories, because you do have accessory options with TA Appliance. And in terms of descaling, again, you follow what it says on the machine. But if you're using filtered water, I don't descale like every 3 months. I descale maybe once every 6 to 9 months, because I use really good quality water.
Yeah,
so
and
I
it
don't
definitely
get a lot of scale buildup.
Definitely depends on where you live. We have found sometimes on the west coast of Canada, they may have to descale a bit more often than, say, in our area.
Yes, exactly.
But definitely listen to the machine, and it'll tell you.
Come, follow me into the the Oracle Touch. And I love that it plays music for us. I'm just going to grab my cloth over here so we can clean things up. Now, those other machines that we just looked at, they are, remember, thermojet pumps, okay? So they're ready to go as soon as you turn them on. The Oracle Touch is not ready to go right away, because this is a boiler system, and there's 2 boilers for this machine. One for the extraction point, one for the steam point. So you can actually extract your coffee and steam your milk at the exact same time, which is fantastic. So it's a little bit faster in terms of delivering your drinks. It's also a little bit closer to cafe quality than our Barista series machines. Excuse me while I pop it away for a moment. I'm just going to come over here because I want to show you the difference in portafilter sizes. So I still have old cups in here, but it's okay. On the Barista series and Bambino series, these are 54 millimeter baskets, okay? On the Oracle dual boiler series machines, so there's the Oracle, there's the dual boiler, and there's the Oracle Touch, which is the one I'm showing you now. These are 58 millimeter. This is as close to cafe quality as you can get. These are the same size portafilters that the cafes use. And you can't feel it, but the weight of these is very heavy. So this really holds quite a bit of heat. It is very durable, and it holds the right amount of coffee to deliver the cafe quality result. So we're just gonna knock that out. Very aggressive. Now you see that. This is something I love about the Oracle Touch, okay? So this was from the Barista Pro. This is from the Oracle Touch. This is almost clean and ready to just go for the next one, okay? Because on the Oracle Touch, we have something called the dry puck system, because the shower head actually has its own heating element. So on top of it having its own boiler, it has its own heating element, which dries out the puck for you, which is nice. Did it turn off again?
No.
Okay, we're good. So I'm going to go into latte again, because that is my favorite drink. But if somebody is in the chat and wants to ask me to make something different, I will, like maybe an Americano. I can show you what that looks like. Would anyone like to see an Americano?
I'd like to see an Americano.
Okay, Amy wants to see an Americano. So we will start by drying out our portafilter, inserting it in the grind and tamp side. Now I could go ahead and tap grind on the screen, or I can feel like a barista and I can twist and activate the grinder that way. I like to feel like a barista. It's clean. I want to be a good barista. Now this grinder has 45 grind settings as opposed to 30 like the Barista Pro and Barista Touch. The Barista Express has 16 grind settings. So the more you go up in price, the more grind options you have. So you can really get technical with different types of coffees.
So that just ground the bean and tamped it.
Yep.
Right after.
It dosed it properly as well. So this does 22 grams of coffee without you having to think.
Amazing.
So I love this because it's like having its own built-in scale, even though it does not. So now I'll put my cup. And I didn't say this with the other machines, but our trays are really intuitive. So you'll notice that there's 2 big holes on the tray. And that would be if you were wanting your shots of espresso to go into but 1 cup, or 1 cup covering 1 hole. So 1 spout is above 1 cup, 1 spout above the other. Now because I'm making an Americano, I'm going to even cover the back one as well.
Now before you hit...
Let's go back into Americano. I'm going to change it to a small size because I might want to have room for some milk. I'm going to hit brew. Now the spout for the hot water is right at the back. That's going to dispense after the shots of espresso. So the shots of espresso will come out first, and then the hot water will automatically dispense right afterwards, right into the cup without you having to do anything.
It's gonna come around this side.
And it's coming in at the back. Somebody altered my Americano latte. This is the joy of having an office machine where you come in and you never know what you're going to find happen, which is exciting. So this would be an Americano. Now my crema is not gorgeous because the shot was supposed to be longer than 20 seconds, but that's okay because it's still a diluted shot, which is what you would want. Okay. Now, if I just go back into home, go into Americano again, if I had left it on medium, I wonder if it would have been fine. But notice how when I changed it to small, just like with the Barista Touch, we get this little plus symbol at the top. So you can save 8 profiles, just like on the Barista Touch. So I'm on all of these. I'm always on these guys. Now I'm not going to make a lot of coffee now because we're almost at the end of our show, but I just wanted to say that with this machine, this is much more heavy than the other machines that I've shown you. So we like to make it a little bit easier for people. And I'll show you some of my little hidey spots. So storage tray in the back, much like the Barista series, but there's also a locking mechanism so that you can wheel this guy all over the counter instead of having to lift and drag, which I love. And the water fills up from the top. So you pour directly into this spot and you will see the water level here because the tank does come out of the back, but not everybody wants to pull out the machine to move it around. And unlike the Barista series machines, there's no dial on the side because you're not operating the froth or the hot water on the side. The Barista Touch didn't have that either, but it does have the dial for the grinding. And it does the indications as well for finer and coarser. And the last thing I wanted to say was that with cleanup and descaling, same idea, you have it in your settings menu. So you would go into the settings, you would select it. It's a little more intensive to descale a machine like this, but the thing I love about it is that it walks you through it, the touch screen. So that's what I really love about the touch screen machines, is that it's like having a guided barista there in the kitchen with you. Now, if you're buying one of the other ones that is in a different price range, then you could actually download an app called Built, and you can look up any of our espresso machines from Breville, any of our grinders, and there's all kinds of interactive videos on there for you to walk you through descaling, walk you through grinder maintenance, walk you through frothing milk, creating latte art foam. So all of that, I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because not everybody knows that Built is in existence. B like Bob, I-L-T, Built.
So in the last 30 seconds, we just want to say thank you so much to TA Appliance and today to Carolyn for taking us through an espresso demo. And
to Propeller for the
and
coffee.
to Propeller
Thank
for the
you.
coffee. Thank you so much. And any further questions you guys have, please stop by your local TA Appliance store. And there's lots of people that'll be happy to help you.
Yes.
So have a great Saturday. And
enjoy the weather if it's nice where you are.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.